Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special live session on Bashon Talks. My name is Mr. Bash, and today we are diving into the exciting world of agricultural commodities business in Nigeria. Whether you are a farmer, trader, or entrepreneur looking for opportunities in this sector, you are in the right place. The purpose of this session is to answer most of the pressing questions about starting, growing, and succeeding in agriculture business. This is your chance to learn the practical steps and strategies to build a profitable agricultural commodity business in Nigeria. Feel free, it's an open interactive session to drop your questions, comment as we go along. I will try to answer as many as I can. And if I miss your question, don't worry, leave a comment after the stream. I will respond later. Everyone can do agricultural commodities business. There is no special skill. If you remember, in times of old, our forefathers, when you get to the age of 18 or 17, they give you a farm and you start trading. The main problem in our system today is that we are all looking for white collar jobs, making it impossible for the country to succeed economically because nobody is doing agriculture. You don't need to own a farm or a big warehouse to start. If you're willing to learn, trade smart, and build relationships, you can succeed. Almost all agricultural produce has potential for trading profitably. It's all about timing, knowing your market, and starting small if you are new to the game. Remember, even simple products like maize, palm oil, sesame seeds can be extremely profitable. For beginners, it's always better to learn to work before you run. Slowly grow into the business as you learn. Knowing how to be constantly profitable in business commodity is an art. I think it's something you develop with time. You don't just go into it and uh, you expect to become an expert in the next day. One pressing question I've always been asked is it better to trade local or export? Because some people think there are many adverts: come, learn agriculture, do exports, bring pool of money together. You have 50,000, you're thinking of export. Now, I always recommend starting local if your cash flow or your capital is slow, it's not much. Build your confidence, understand the trade, and grow your business step by step. If you're already exporting or you have resources to dive straight into exports, for example, you have 2 billion, you have 100 million, yeah, we will discuss more about that. That's actually fantastic. But that's a question for another episode. Um, Now, we have been working on a platform that is really exciting, a solution for farmers, traders, buyers, and sellers to connect seamlessly. This platform is called farmtotrade.com. Let's get right into it. Farmtotrade.com is built to solve the everyday challenges of Nigerian farmers, traders, buyers, and sellers. Whether you're looking to sell your produce, buy quality commodities, or find trusted partners, this is the place to do it, all in one place. Why are we promoting farmtotrade.com? We understand its struggles. Personally, I have been dealing in agricultural commodities business for more than 15 years, myself and my team combined 25 years. And these are the kind of people who understand the struggles of traders, of buyers, of farmers. So we have put this platform together to solve all these problems. Instead of dealing with unending middlemen and navigating pricing uncertainties, we know pricing in Nigeria is very destabilized. There is no way to control pricing. You might be buying sesame in Niger State for 1,500, and in Nasarawa is 1,300. So if you are buying in Niger State, you're already going at a loss. So we have built farmtotrade.com to bridge these gaps, making agriculture seamless, transparent, and profitable for everyone. In farmtotrade.com, you can list your products for thousands of potential buyers to see. Find verified sellers with quality produce. Stay informed with market insights and price trends. Build trust with an optional escrow payment system for secure transactions. And this is just the beginning. How does this benefit you? Whether you're a small scale farmer, trader, or a large scale trader, Farm to Trade is designed to make your business easier and more profitable. Now, going back to the questions, I have been asked by my viewers regularly, how do I need to start an agro commodities business in Nigeria? This question here, it's very important. Your starting capital actually determines the scale of business you want. You can begin with as little as 50,000 naira to trade locally. For example, buying and reselling small quantities of grains or produce can be a good start. Now, another question I've been asked, what is a profitable commodity to trade in? And what is profitability? How much is profitable? Profitability depends on demand and seasonability. For beginners, I recommend grains like maize, soya beans, and sesame seeds, or even palm oil. The reason for this particular list of products is because they are dry products, and palm oil is not something that's going to get bad in shelf. I recommend dealing on this list is not limited. You can find products that have the potential to last very long, you know so that you don't have to deal with losses due to spoilage, or they got bad, you didn't dry them well. Now you have to research your local market and start with products that are in high demand. One thing I tell people who have been coming to me, you need to hold my hands. You have to. Yes, we would guide you, but the bulk of the work remains with you. You have to do your own research, no matter what we tell you. I've asked some people, they say, "Oh, where do you do business?" Yeah, I've taken you to my location, Nasarawa. That's why I do business. you know, yeah, I already have my line of business, so we don't fear competition. So, in fact, the more the people in the business, the better, because now you have a wide spread of buyers and sellers. People have also asked me, what about palm oil business? How do I get? I've never done palm oil, but from my feedback from my followers, palm oil is a fantastic business. It's always in demand, especially towards the end of the year. You can buy during harvest season when the prices are low, and store for resale when the prices are high. One of my viewers recently told me that he bought palm oil in Osun State in May for 20,000 naira per 25 kilogram jerry cans. And he was angry. He sold this, he thought he sold too early. He sold in November for 42,000 naira per the same jerry can of palm oil, red palm oil. Right now, just 1 month later, that same palm oil is selling for 60,000 naira plus. And what the guy told me was, oh, he feels regret. Why did he sell so early? And I told him, this mindset you're having of not being content with what the profit you got will lead you to making commercial mistakes. Business is about strategy and consistency. You got a return of 100%. That was your target. Close your eyes about the rest. Stick to that strategy, because there will be some seasons, something would happen in December and the price will go below 40,000, and you'll regret why didn't you sell at the time you were supposed to sell. So the key thing I try to tell people is have a strategy and stick to it as long as you are not losing. When you start moving from um, pillar to post, you are disorganized, you don't know what you're doing, then you have a chance to lose a lot of money. Again, people have asked me about, oh, you made 100 million in a goosey trade. How can I make a goose 100 million today? You see, the thing, first of all, is about how much capital are you putting in, and how patient are you going to be in the business. The egusi business did not reward me that much in one day. It took a while. I had the consistency of buying more than 1,000 plus bags of egusi every year. I never lost because you would make sometimes 20% profit, you make sometimes 15% profit, which was still okay for me. But my experience with agriculture business is that in every 3 to 4 years, there is that time the prices go significantly high up. And that happened in that particular year. We bought the egusi for uh, about 14, maximum 14,000 naira per bag in Nasarawa. And, and that was in August. We finished buying at the first week of September. By January of the following year, just 6 months down the line, the price of egusi had gone to 100,000 plus. So that was when my eyes opened in the business that, wow, these things happen. It happens in sesame, it happens in cashew. But once these things are happening, you should also know that uh, the law of demand and supply plays. It won't continue the next year the same thing. Things might stabilize because there's a way the system stabilizes itself, so things don't go beyond control. Now, another question is I have been getting is how do I find buyers? Finding buyers requires your networking, leveraging connections, and starting with local markets, associations, even WhatsApp group. We have a WhatsApp group of very committed members who are sharing market information, market insights. The thing about finding buyers is you have to leverage everything you have in your network because the buyer you have next to you might not be even the best buyer. You might be surviving with that buyer. Okay, I'm buying from Nasarawa. I'm selling in Kefi. I'm selling in Abuja. Maybe the highest profit is for you to sell in Lagos, and there's a transport vehicle that makes logistics easy. So if there's this potential to make more money, why not explore Lagos? So this is one of the problems our platform will solve. We are going to expose all sellers to the world in that platform, farmtotrade.com. I encourage everyone. It's not going to cost you any money, just at least for the first few months, because it's costing us money to build and develop everything. But our main interest is creating a unified platform for agriculture commodities trade. It's never been done in Nigeria. And we are making sure that everybody, seller, especially coming into that platform, is properly verified. Properly verified, I repeat, so that we would reduce all incidences of unseriousness or people who are trying to take advantage of innocent businessmen. This platform will be out. It's going to be out probably at the end of today, and uh, the link will be available for everyone to connect. Now, I'm getting to another question. Where can I get products cheaply to resell? I use myself as an example. When I started agro commodities business, I didn't have all the capital in the world. In fact, I lost almost everything in my first venture. I went into farming of sesame seeds in Nasarawa State. And during that farming, uh, I found out many things that it's difficult to change the mindset of the local population whom you are going to rely on to do your farming. Now, I wasn't always present as well. I was traveling, I live abroad, I come to Nigeria once in a while. And of course, to cut a long story short, the farming was a disaster. But then my eyes opened. Even though I lost money, I knew that there was money to be made in this business. So I settled down, quit my job, and I focused on agriculture business. I rented a small house in Nasarawa because I knew I had to come down to the roots. I stayed in a village in Nasarawa without water, with nothing, because I decided that I would succeed in this business. And that's how my success story started. Now, you can get cheap products, I was saying, by going to the sourcing region, to the locality where you can actually get farm gate prices. Buying from farmers, the advantage is that as long as you're buying from farmers, you're already in profit, because in the next town, you can sell. So you can sell and make money. So that was my reason, because I didn't have enough. So I had to go, let me do farming, then I can get more products. Farming was a loss. Then I said, okay, yeah, let me do trading. Now I know the farmers, even though it was a loss, but I knew the farmers. I knew the farm market. I knew where to get prices. I knew the tricks that are being played, because there are tricks in every business. So you must understand these tricks. So you go in slowly. So I learned the business, knew the farmers, and you visit the communities where they are produced. That's your guarantee for cheap produce. And if you can't visit the communities, at least have a link where you can access those direct farm prices to maximize your profit. Of course, it depends on the value system, the value chain, the area you want to partake. You might be staying in Lagos, but the produce you want is in Kano. So it does not make sense for you to maybe relocate to Lagos. But you will find a seller who is selling directly from that region and shipping to you. So of course you're going to the price will be higher than you get it, but you are guaranteed that you are getting from the source as well. So adding your transportation cost and maybe a few margins for the middleman trader or the farmer still makes you profitable. Now, what are the products good for storage business? People have been asking this. Again, I will tell you dried products. Don't go into products that have the potential to get bad in storage. Somebody, one of my viewers, asked me recently, I have this large portion of land. I want to farm cucumber. And I told him, farming cucumber is good business if you have the resources to manage your quality control. Because if you want to do business and you'll be begging buyers to buy your product, you're already at a disadvantage. You want to do business from a strong point of view, where if there are no buyers, you keep your goods. You keep your goods. You are not under any rush to sell. But if you're farming or you're storing something like cucumber, it has a shelf life. Probably you can't keep it for more than 3 days. Or tomatoes, raw tomatoes. I'm sorry, people are doing these businesses, but I'm talking about businesses that you can launch without so much risk and scale up. Of course, if you've made a lot of money and you want to go into tomatoes, you have all the financial shock absorber, then you can do products like tomatoes or cucumber, even if you make a loss, or you know how you can invest on the proper storage facility to maintain the quality of the product. So yeah, products like maize, millet, sorghum, palm oil, these store well and they appreciate in value if stored properly. Now, another question I've been asked is how much do I need to do export? Exporting requires more capital due to logistics, certifications, and regulations. Depending on the product, some people have told me that, oh, they tried exports. And I say, okay, how much? What did you export? Oh, yeah, I had 500,000. I exported 500,000 for export. What are you exporting? And what is the method of exportation? There are many schemes in Nigeria today asking you to pull up resources together. In fact, one of my viewers asked me, there was a scheme telling them to invest 50,000 or 500,000, 1 million, and they'll put them in a pool of exporters to export commodities. I don't encourage anything like that. No serious businessman. That's like these get rich quick schemes. I advise you to stay away from anything that tells you to pull resources. oh, somebody is sitting somewhere and asking, bring this money, bring that, with your 500,000. Now your 500,000 is going to give you stories later, because a lot of people have come to me in this particular situation. So now, why do I insist that you are very financially comfortable to do export? If you have 500,000 or 1 million to do export, that means you'll be considering doing air freight, because I don't know what you fill a container with only 500,000. And if you're doing air freight, your cost implication goes up significantly. You can't even begin to compete with those who have exported in bulk in those destination countries, because the cost of export using air freight is probably minimum 10 times to 50 times higher than the cost of export when you're using container. And for products like sesame seed, one container of sesame seeds is upwards 20 to 25 million plus and above for one container. But will I advise you to do one container export of sesame seeds? I will not. The minimum I advise if you want to go into export of products like sesame seeds is that you have a capital that carries at least 5 containers at the beginning. The reason is strategic, because the more volumes you are exporting, it actually beats down your overall cost of goods. When you're exporting one container, the cost of goods is so high that you go into loss, and anything happens, where will you fall back to? So my advice is start local, understand the business, grow your money. There are many exporting companies who are already well established. Once you are dealing with these people, your turnover can be higher. Now, what products can I export? Okay, I mentioned you can export sesame seeds, ginger, hibiscus. Okay, I've not mentioned hibiscus. You can export cashew nuts. Ensure you comply with export regulations to maintain high product quality. Now, let me look at the live questions. I'm visually impaired and mostly depend on people to run such businesses. How will I go about start agricultural business is 500,000 naira? Okay. Um, one of my listeners here just wrote, Beloved Kingsley, you are asking, how can I start agriculture business with 500,000 naira? I am visually impaired and we mostly be dependent on people to run such a business. How will I go about it? This is a very good question. Now, you can actually do storage business in the beginning with 500,000 naira. Uh, because if you were living in, I don't know where you're living, if you are living in a place like Nasarawa, I can easily advise you that, yeah, you can buy and sell, even though you are visually impaired. We can support you. Your case is a special case. We can actually uh, get someone to be on the field to guide you. But if you want to do storage, you don't need to be there actually. You just need someone to ensure that you are buying the right quality produce. And you research on the person who is going to manage your storage business for you. Because the only person who will steal from you is the person who is actually managing your storage store or warehouse. So your visual impairedness will not um, negate your ability to trade successfully. That's one thing I'll tell you. Then, how do we deal with possible losses? What I mean is possible price of goods crash due to external factors such as government policies. Okay, this is from Mike Harry. Now, this is one area that I'm trying to um, find a solution for, because there was recently, probably like 7, 8 years ago, there was a cashew nut price crash. And what happened was, I don't want to say it's the policies of government, but the situation in Nigeria contributed to that loss. And what the government could have done, probably, I don't know, maybe there are government people here listening, is to create processing hubs or aggregation hubs. But we don't have any of these systems yet. What the processing and aggregation hubs could have done, what happened then, I'll tell you. That year, the price of cashew was going up steadily, continuously. Now, the international buyers, our natural international buyers of cashew nuts is India and Vietnam. They wanted to control the prices, coupled with the fact that our logistic network was horrible that time. Then it used to take uh, probably 2 weeks. Normally, it takes 5 days, 4 to 5 days to send your product from like Nasarawa to Lagos. Then getting your products from Lagos mainland into ports takes another 2 weeks. So imagine cashew is perishable. So what happened? Many of the cashew were getting bad on transit. Then suddenly our quality was going down in international market, and cashew nut prices was high. And we heard of this conspiracy that Indians and Vietnamese stopped all cashew nut contracts. So there was a glut in the market. Cashew was everywhere in shops. People, I had cashew, but we had no backup. If we had the government on our side, uh, with factories, uh, industries, or warehouses where they could help us store or buy off the products from us, we would have been prevented from such losses. So at the moment, it's always better to go into products that the government policies are not likely to affect so quickly. For example, if you are doing egusi nuts, we are not you're not going to export. You are doing egusi storage. You buy your egusi, so you are going to be limited to the laws of demand and supply. If demand goes down, price goes down. So it's not like I tell people, it's not a business where everything is always rosy. You have to, you are getting into calculated risk, and stick to your strategy. Sometimes what makes us get into losses is greed. If your usual selling period is January and you think price is not rising enough, maybe last year you made 100%. The following year, the time you have budgeted to sell might give you 20%. Take that 20% and run. But when you keep waiting, going beyond your planned exit plan, then it becomes gambling. So that's what I would tell you. Just be careful, because government policies can affect some products, definitely. And we hear about um trade wars. What trade war means that if one country, maybe today we have China as a traditional buyer of certain products, and the government is having a quarrel, or there's a kind of disagreement with the Chinese about certain export regulations. China decides to stop buying that particular product. What happens? The price of that product is going to crash because they are our traditional buyers. So we believe, if there are government people here, to let the government know that agriculture business people are in need of this kind of buffers, areas where you can sell off your products at the going market rate with government guarantees and security. So apart from that, you just have to follow your own regular plan for buying and selling. Don't go beyond your plan. Uh, yes, is someone is asking, is dried oven dried catfish not? Yes, dried fish, catfish is included in agro products. I was in Lagos recently, and there was a young guy who exports dried fish all over the world. He has his shop, small shop in somewhere in Victoria Island. They say because I went there to buy. Uh, my parents were in Lagos for some medical checkups, so I went to buy some dried fish for them, and I bought it from this particular guy. He's a graduate, and he's running a successful dried fish business. He showed me, I was interested, seeing how he was so organized. And he showed me he's using WhatsApp to connect with people all over the world. And yeah, in that kind of business, he's using air freight because dried catfish is a kind of, it's exotic. I don't know if there's anyone exporting dried catfish on a very large scale in containers. So he can be profitable because, again, he connects with his buyers so they understand the quality. He's only selling dried fish that is from the sea, not those ones farmed. You know, there are people who want farmed fish. There are those who just want specifically dried fish. So yeah, it's included in agro commodities products, and it's very profitable because the guy told me about it. Okay. Another question: can one start cashew nut and groundnut distribution business around Nassau and Abuja at 2 point? Very correct. With 2.5 million naira is more than enough to start cashew nut distribution business around Nasarawa and Abuja. The key thing is know your sourcing region. I would advise you to go to Enugu. There's a place, Ogbolo Afo in Enugu. Go to Obolo Afo, you would understand everything about cashew nut business there. From processing, you can buy raw, you can buy half processed, you can buy fully processed, you can buy and process because there are local processors there. So I'm advising you to go there because that's where you get the cheapest. Most of the cashew sold all over Nigeria originate from Enugu, Ogbolo Afo. So with 2.5 million is more than enough. Will farm to trade platform take care of logistic aspect of trade efficiently from farm gate to your location, e.g. Kano, Lagos? Now, the this is a very good question because we would have launched farm to trade probably a month ago, but the logistic aspect was what we considered significantly. We did our research, did all our market survey, contacted logistics companies, and we now understand that if we delve into the logistic aspect at the beginning, it's going to be hectic work for us. We don't have good transport systems, our road network, even rail network. These things are not functioning to optimal level. So we didn't want to delve into that. So to give a direct answer, we are not going to be involved in the logistics. However, if there is anyone who needs a bespoke service from farm to trade, we would have an escrow payment system and we can help to support logistics if your trade volume is high and both buyer and seller cannot come to a compromise and they need a middleman. We would play a role. We would need you to send an email in that regard. We've not created a threshold of trade volume in terms of quantity and pricing yet for this service. But this is a service that we come into farmtotrade.com in a very short time. But generally, we don't want to deal with the logistics. What we would advise is since we are um, verifying our sellers, we are scrutinizing and verifying our sellers rigorously. We are requesting that our sellers be smart enough to take money upfront from buyers to guarantee they are paid for their products. And again, we also be recommending to work by sending samples to your buyers. and let those samples be paid for, because you are developing trust. One thing about agro-commodities business to grow is repeat business. If you're getting into to do one business and run your customer service with your buyer or your seller anyhow, you will cut that chain. Then you start looking for new buyers and all that, and you will not be recommended. We will also have a review system where buyers can review sellers, sellers can review buyers, and we would understand from the communication on our platform who is actually not meeting the standards of farm2trade.com, because we will be operating at the highest standard never seen in Nigeria. We are working with um, the financial crime organizations within the country, and we are scrutinizing everything. Any suspicion, we are reporting to the authorities immediately and passing on all the details. So we maintain just people who are seriously willing to do agricultural commodity business in the country. Then another question, can I advertise oven dried? Yeah, you can advertise oven dried catfish. Uh, you can, even right now, we are taking people coming in free for the first 2 months. We've not created a specific time. It's just our giveaway. So yeah, you can advertise oven dried catfish to farm to trade. Hello, Mr. Bash. I'm based in Lafia, Nasarawa State. I have a company. They are ready to be verified on one of your contact in Nasarawa. Yeah, feel free. You can, the link would be out. I'll drop the link. Let me just see if I can type the link in here now. I just farm2trade.com. I've just sent. How can one prevent? Okay, Lau is asking, how can one prevent his goods from theft, damage, diversion of goods by drivers, or incomplete quantity of goods at delivery point? Now, this is up to you. When I was starting out in the trade, I was very scared about this because I was just trying to sell products. I sold the first products I sold was to an Indian in Lagos. I sent goods to him, 30-ton truck of goods. Now the roads are risky. I've never heard of people stealing your goods, because the drivers you use, you should make sure they are from within the local union drivers, because every region has association of truck drivers or delivery vans. If because you are looking for cheap transportation, you go like 2 cities away, or you meet a private individual who does not belong to that association, then you are taking a very big risk. So it's always good to utilize those resources, services within the region where you will be loading your goods from. There, you can have more sense of security. But on top of all this, I request that you make use of what they call goods in transit insurance. There are many insurance companies in Nigeria, and the premium is very small compared to what you would potentially lose if something happens to your goods. It's not only, we're not talking about only theft. We're talking about trucks having accidents. These are happening regularly. You're driving along Nigerian roads, you see trucks falling down, goods scattered everywhere, bags of rice, people. So you have to make sure you take your goods in transit insurance. In fact, this is the one of the reasons why we try to hold ourselves from logistics in managing the whole business. It should have been easier if we maintain the logistic aspect, so we take away that stress from buyers and sellers. But the headache, I'll call it headache in logistics, you have to manage it. Once you have a system, I believe you can't get it wrong. I never had my goods stolen. I've been trading for probably the past 15 years plus. Never had my goods stolen on transit. And thank God, I've never had my uh, trucks and my goods damaged on transit by rain. We always secure them properly. We make sure we use transporters within the region. But as time goes on, we will be trading, we will be creating logistics between Nasarawa and Lagos. We are not going to, because this is where we know right now, we'll be creating from Nasarawa, Lagos, Kano, Lagos, but not at the moment. We will have our own trucks, but that is already in the pipeline. Will goods in transit not increase the cost of your products at same point, never making less company? Now, someone is asking if goods in transit will not increase cost of goods products. You mean goods in transit insurance? No. It depends on the volume. Uh, if you are doing small volumes, maybe you can. It depends on your risk level. I don't want to tell you not to take goods in transit insurance, but I only started doing insurance recently. I because when I started, I was just going on for the risk, trying to cut my costs and all that. But it worked well for me. But I'm not going to advise you. So you should use your own risk level and threshold to determine whether you want to take goods in transit. But if the capital you're investing is high, then I would advise you to just take your goods in transit insurance. Sometimes you're only going to pay, maybe you have goods worth 15 million. You'll be paying maybe just 40,000 as the goods in transit insurance, or 50,000. I have not spoken to any, but this was how it was, you know. So then, good in transit insurance. How do I store a goosey so it do not spoil? Okay. Uh, Mr. Azuka is asking how he will store a goosey so it will not spoil. The easy answer is make sure you buy a goosey that is well dried. Sometimes when you're buying a goosey, you will find some selling them really cheaply, but there's a reason. If something is too good to be true, then really it's not good. The thing is really not true. Sometimes they'll sell egusi at the bottom is undried egusi, so it's making the bag heavy. You feel that, oh, you have very good egusi, but that egusi is going to spoil in 2 days. So always make sure there are ways they scoop egusi. So when you are buying egusi, you must buy with a trusted, uh, use a trusted person to help you buy, or you go there yourself. They have these scooping devices, so you can scoop from the very bottom of the bag, the middle of the bag, and at the top. So you scoop these places and test. You just use your hands to feel the egusi to see how dried they are. If they are not dried properly and maybe you are committed to buying from that person, then make sure you dry it immediately and ensure it's properly dried before storage. What else? What other question? I want to go into storage. I was introduced to a guy in Nasarawa who said the sharing margin is 70%. So how is this? No, this is not true. Ifeoma Helen, I'm repeating your question. I want to go into storage. I was introduced to a guy in Nasarawa who said the sharing margin is 70 to 30%. So, sir, is this how the vendors operate? This is not how they operate. This is my simple answer. I don't know, but I have never seen this system you mentioned here. What they do, when you go, it depends on the part of Nasarawa again. I don't know everywhere. What they do, they you have a shop, uh, you discuss with the owner of the shop, and he allows you to keep your goods there for as long as possible. Most times, it's only one-time fee you pay per bag. So, for example, He might be charging, maybe you have 10 bags, he might charge per bag 1,000 naira or 1,005 or 500, depending on your negotiation or the going rate at the time there. So once you pay this amount of money, in fact, you don't pay this amount of money, you only pay it when you are selling. So you keep your goods there because they know they will get their money anyway. There's no way you will sell those goods without the owner of the shop knowing. So when you sell, then you deduct from your sales money that's either 1,000 you've negotiated per bag or 1,005 or 500 for the duration of the time. And that's all you pay. That's how we do the business. When since when I started, it hasn't changed. I don't know, about 70 to 30%. So you have to be careful the kind of people you interact with. Blessing Utadani is asking, do you have storage house where that one can buy grains and pay you for storage and can sell when prices go up? There are many places. The markets that you buy, we don't have our own bespoke warehouse we use for this purpose, uh, but we are working on one. We don't have our own right now, but we're working on one. But there are many small shops, warehouses all around the market. Is the business system that operates in many commodity markets. You buy and you take the goods just from the market ground, maybe 10 steps into the warehouse or shop. You are going to keep it. That's it. You are not transporting it anywhere. Or if you want to transport it somewhere else, maybe you can take it to the next town, another market where you intend to sell, and just keep it in a shop in that market there. But most times, you can leave it even within the market you bought it and sell it even within that same market. You can even sell it to the same person you bought it from 2 months down the line because it's trade. Things are happening. Buying and selling is going on. So yeah, we can advise you on that. Just send an email, but there are places you can actually get storage. Can you speak more on the escrow payment plan and associated charges? Now, the escrow payment plan is not in this beginning because we are not taking responsibility for logistics. We are being careful. Like I said, we are building something that is going to evolve over time. So I was responding to someone's question about uh, I was responding to someone's question about dealing with risk of delivery and these concerns. So the escrow payment is if you have products that are in high volumes to be sold for significantly high amounts of money. And both buyer and seller have not been able to come to an agreement on delivery terms. Like I will tell you, don't feel that because you're a buyer, you must make a sale, then you send your goods on credit to a buyer. You will now be at the begging end because buyers might sound very good on the phone, on the message. Oh, promise you, we buy 10,000, we do this. Once you the thing they will always tell you in the beginning is that if you make the first supply, then we'll be doing supplies with you. Be careful about all this talk because you will end up stagnating your money. So, in that kind of argument, when there is a serious buyer, serious seller, and they cannot meet a compromise, then we can provide that escrow service. Of course, there will be a fee for using that service, which we have not determined yet. We are trying to understand because we have to build everything according to the peculiar circumstances of Nigeria. Everything here is made for Nigeria and by Nigerians. So that's where the escrow service will come into play. Then hopefully in the future, we would certainly, we are still working. We didn't give up working on dealing with logistics. We are still working on it. In the future, we'll deal with logistics. Like I said, we're already working on maybe two location logistics. So everything you do, you start it step by step. We are not going into everything at once. So a short answer for you is uh, at the moment, the escrow service is an optional one that is not live yet, but it will be live in probably next 3 weeks. So we can get emails offering bespoke services for this escrow service. So I hope that answers your question. Uh, I'm in Calabar, but want to go into grain storage, either in Taraba or Nasarawa. But my fear is about the security since I will not be there. Yeah, I will tell you, um, I live in Turkey. I also right now I also live in the UK, but I live in Abuja because of my business. And I also live in Nasarawa because of my business. But am I always in Nasarawa? The answer is no. So you can go into this business without fearing security. Uh, Maybe the security concerns you're talking about is headsmen, or we hear a lot in the news. I have never had any problem about security in this regard since I started doing business in Nasarawa. I don't know about Taraba. I've never been to Taraba. So the key thing I tell you is keep close contacts with locals in your areas you visit. Try to develop relationships. Make friends because they are human beings too. They just surviving. There in Nasarawa, there are many areas where people don't even know what banks are. They use storage business as their own way of securing their money. They go for marriages, make friends. Even sometimes you can develop personal relationships with families. There are people in Nasarawa whom I help support children's school fees, marriage events. These are just your own way of giving back and building trust with people who will also see you as a human being, not just an object to milk. So, yes, you can do business in these regions, but I always encourage that you try to visit initially. Let me see. Okay, Nagozi. Can we get the link to the website? Yeah, it's there. I'm a NYC Corp member in Kefi, Nasarawa. I have saved up a little money, but I feel it's too small. How do I get loans to increase my capital? How do I get a storage house? Okay, I've mentioned about storage house. Now, how do you get loans? There are so many schemes in Nigeria that people are not making use of. I'll tell you, there is Nexim Bank. I don't know how many of you have heard of Nexim Bank. Nexim Bank offers loans to Nigerian agriculture business people. Then there's Bank of Industry. If you want to go into machinery or processing, Bank of Industry also gives out loans. And the good thing about the loans in Bank of Industry, they give you sometimes 7 years moratorium, meaning that if you pass all the stages, they give you this money to buy equipment for processing, whereby you don't even need to pay back any money until after a certain number of years, then you start paying slowly. But people are not using them. We don't even know. People don't know about them. you know so people will tell you, yes, the procedure, everything is hard, but yeah, of course, start taking the step. If you start taking the step, you might find that it's easier than you ever imagined. You might just be lucky. Your first application goes through and you have maybe 200 million naira as a loan to buy equipments from China or from wherever, and you're already in processing game. What do you have to lose? So visit these institutions, Bank of Industry. Bank of Agriculture. Talk with them. Nobody is too small. As a youth copper, you can confidently walk into these banks and start talking. Don't be scared by the uh, initial requirements they will tell you. Just go step at a time. What's the first step? You need a company. Yes. Second step, you need to get your certifications from wherever, what kind of products you want. So you must take a step at a time. The minute you start taking these steps, you will realize that these things are actually within your arm's reach. So there's Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, Nexim Bank. There's also the Afri Exim Bank, which I understand has been giving out some loans. And also try to get in contact. There's this institution in Nigeria, I think is one of the best public institutions, Export Promotion Council. That council is a one of its kind in Nigeria. People are always ready to help you there. It was in Export Promotion Council I developed my uh, knowledge a lot on export processes and all that. I can't remember his name. There was a guy, was it Musa? One guy there. He was just giving me information, tips. And there was an Indian company mostly using this Export Promotion Council to win businesses for himself abroad. I don't want to mention the name of this company, but this company was always attending the Gulf Food Conventions, one of the biggest agro commodity trade event in the world in Dubai. He was using the Export Promotion Council logos everywhere, which was okay because he had a Nigerian business, But we Nigerians, we don't even know about this. But that's a foreigner coming into your country and making use of the resources you have, and you don't even know about it. Is he doing something wrong? No. He came legitimately and he's using the resources he sees that most of us don't see. So, yes, you can access loans, but you have to start taking the step. Uh, Let me see any more questions. I want to go into investment, stocks, and finance. Yeah, I don't do this kind of businesses, stocks for now. Okay. So okay. The trade cycle for egusi, for corn and soya beans, I have to check on that. I can tell you the trade cycle for egusi, if you are buying from Nasarawa, uh, you buy from the beginning of August. And if you want to go into storage, my advice is stop buying at the first week of September. After the first week of September, just stop buying. Because anything you buy after then, from my experience, is going to be 50-50. If you want to always be profitable, once it's first week of August, start buying your egusi. Buy as many if you are going to do storage. Take it like your own savings account because it will give you more returns than any money you put in the bank, no matter how the season goes. And the harvest season is usually this period I mentioned, from ending of July to middle of September. That's when the harvest season takes place. Now you finish buying at the first week of September. When do you sell? I advise you. This period, the prices go down because sesame seeds and these fast turnover businesses are taking over. Because most people who do these trades do the same commodities all the time. Sell from the middle of January to the end of January. Try to finish selling your egusi latest by middle of February if you want to go into this business strategically. So this is my advice. Let's see what other question. No, you mustn't take a loan. Someone is asking, must I take a loan before starting a business? You mustn't take a loan, but sometimes if you have access to these loans, why not use it? But you must be calculated because you are taking loans to repay. You must understand the business you are going into. You must be willing to pay back the loan you are taking because the more you pay back, then the more your leverage for loan increases. If they see that you pay your loans properly, there will be a time they will have what they call a trading line open for you. And that means you will not be tied to the terminal loan system where you have bulk money. Just okay, anytime you want to do business, there's this pool of money for you. As you do your business is coming in, you're taking your profit, your money is coming back to us. So they will open a trading line for you as long as you consistently run your business profitably and honestly. Uh, where someone is asking where Nigeria is cheap to is cheap to get bitter cola. Yeah, can somebody respond to that? Where in Nigeria is cheap to get bitter cola? This information I don't have it currently. As a beginner that wants to go into agro storage in Lagos, what's the best commodity and sales strategy? There are many strategies. If you are in Lagos, but you don't want to, you want to sell in Lagos, you can actually, after harvest, just buy your product and send it to Lagos. But you will make sure you have a storage location in Lagos. You can even store in your house, depending on the commodity. If you buy a goosey, maybe you take a trip to Abuja for business or something, and you just decide to take another 1 hour drive or transport to Nasarawa, you can just buy up a few bags of egusi, and as you're returning to Lagos, you're killing two birds with one stone. Your regular job, mix it with your agro business, and you convey some bags of egusi to Lagos, put in your house. Just be checking the markets within Lagos to see how the prices are going. You don't need to talk to everybody. You just walk up to some sellers who are buying in bulk in those markets and tell them, okay, you have this bag of this egusi for this product. I can give it to you at this product. Just give them a little bit of discounted price. You'll still make a lot of money. What produce can I start trading with 50,000? With 50,000 in Nasarawa, if you want to buy in models, like I said, there is there is an aspect of the business. There is a value chain to join in the business. With 50,000, that means you'll be trading very small time. All these products are sold in modules. So you can go to the market, for example, in Nasarawa, you can go to Maraba market and buy maybe 10 modules worth 50,000 naira of sesame seed or of egusi or something. Then you go into the next town and you are selling that same thing for in modules too at a higher price. So the business is actually is limitless because don't forget our grandparents didn't even have 50,000. Most of our mothers trained us by buying and selling. How were they making profit? When we're growing up, okay, you come home, you ask for school fees, but your mom is going to farm or she's buying something and selling. And that is what is sustaining the home. So you can imagine if you put in your education and knowledge into your capital of even just 50,000, you will do it better because people have survived on this kind of monies for long times. So it's just your strategy that's important. Uh, So now we've talked about starting small, profitable businesses, finding buyers, and many more. One thing I'll ask you to remember, agro-commodity trading is for everyone. Start local, learn the ropes, and grow your business. About export, I mentioned I'll be diving deeper into export business and other advanced topics in other episodes. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends, your loved ones. Uh, Let this go viral. We're all talking about changing Nigeria. We're all talking about food security. But what steps are we actually taking? There's wealth right in front of us, but we don't know it. You see someone, if you go to a place like Nasarawa, I always talk about Nasarawa because there are people who don't even who don't care about looking for jobs. They finished school just to gain the education and to gain the finesse in life, but they use the resources around them to develop themselves, to build houses. I was talking with one of my uh, agents in Nasarawa recently. I'll mention his name, Abdul. He's my very trusted guy. Uh, he's built his house on just trading commodities. He's a graduate. He's never looked for work. He's never looked for jobs. But he's married with wife, kids, going to good schools, and he's living very well for himself. There are many people in these local places that we tend to run away from, surviving better than many of us in the cities. So, like I said, if you found this helpful, share it with friends and family who are interested in agricultural business. Let's grow this community together. This platform, list your products and try to come in quickly because in a very short time, the early listers will get uh, listing at the top of the pages. So it's always better to come in early and stay connected for more updates. Let me see finally if there are more questions that I haven't touched. So, anyway, if there are extra comments coming in, feel free to send them. We will try to respond uh, by email or in another episode. And we have a WhatsApp community. Find the link. Uh, One of my colleagues in the team will send a link for the WhatsApp community. Join the community and subscribe to this channel. So thank you very much. Send me a message. Feel very free. Reach out to me on WhatsApp, on comment section, on email. And so good to talk to you. I'm dropping my email here. Info at So thank you. That's all for today. Have a happy new year in advance, more prosperous new year, and I wish you guys the best in your journey in agro commodities business. Thank you. Bye bye.